a special announcement. The frightful reaction you are about to see is performed by professionals. Do not try this at home. Thank you.
Hello YouTube again. We are back with another nostalgic deep dive. We've been going into some of my really original cartoons that, like some of the first ones I remember watching coming up as a kid. The next one, while I did, I think, see the original series first, we're going to be dumping into a deep dive on a pup named Scooby-Doo real fast. Now, Pup Named Scooby-Doo is definitely one of my favorite shows as a kid, and one of the first few ones that I remember watching coming up, or just one of the ones like just based off memory because I loved it so much. I remember it as one of like the earliest cartoons I had seen, aside from like the original cartoon again. But like the original cartoon, the soundtrack of that show, like the theme song alone is it's fire, but all like the doom 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 doom, like the oh my god, they had such an amazing team working on that soundtrack and all the sound effects and everything for that, and obviously the animation team was amazing for it. But A Pup Named Scooby-Doo as a kid like this hit, because like obviously that theme song, like, well, we're definitely going to be listening to that theme song at some point, but let's get into A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. Back to Basic Scooby. Billiam by Billiam. Wait. This video is called A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. Back to Basic Scooby by Billiam. Okay. Let's take a look, see.
I know who did it. Follow me. All right, Red, give it up. What'd you do with
always
Scooby?
Pulling up
Scooby-Doo, a franchise that'll never die. This dog is eternal. No amount of critical failures or lethal doses of chocolate can stop him. Beginning in 1969, Scooby-Doo is one of those rare instances where they got everything right from the start. A show about a group of hipper than hip teenagers and their dog traveling around and solving monster-related mysteries got its hooks into the cultural consciousness and hasn't let go since. I think I'm drawn to Scooby-Doo as a content creator because it's just such a deep rabbit hole. There have been so many old and new and boring and interesting ways to continue this beloved yet exhausted franchise. I mean, if there's any franchise...
Okay, hold on. Watch your mouth. Ease up. Now, if you talk about that, yeah, that's exhaustive as far as those ones, but if you're talking about pretty much any of the actual cartoons, you are tripping. Any of the movies mainly as well. Not talking about you. Definitely not talking about you. Not talking about this movie. Definitely not this movie. But I feel like pretty much every other Scooby-Doo movie outside of that, top tier, like at least 8 to 10.
Keeping the spirit of the oral tradition of storytelling alive, it's Scooby.
And we're not talking about Velma either. That doesn't count. We're not talking to you two. Velma and you. Whatever this is. I think it was like just Scooby or something like that. I don't know. But we're not talking.
Scooby-Doo. However, there was an era where network executives were convinced the original formula for Scooby-Doo was just broken. The show apparently needed a dramatic overhaul. We didn't need to see these teenagers unmasking a petty criminal who spent way too much money on a monster costume just to slightly throw off authorities every episode. Can't do that for 50 years. The show's experimented with different titles, tones, celebrity cameos, and even additional cast members.
I'm coming to the realization that people just can't enjoy things like that. Oh, this happened for 50 years. Yeah, because people liked it. Damn.
With the most...
Is it really such a crime to like something for a long period of time? Like, I just can't enjoy something for that long without like, oh, are you not tired of it? Like, why? Why does everything have to be so frustrating? Now, I don't think everything should be in that category, but it shouldn't be fair to like say just certain things aren't evergreen, because there are, especially when they do so well each time.
Most notable being, by the late 1980s, the Scooby franchise had uprooted itself and become something completely unrecognizable from the original show. But then in 1988, around the 20th anniversary of Scooby-Doo, the show went back to basics with a twist. A Pup Named Scooby-Doo was meant to celebrate the show's 20th anniversary. For the first time in years, Shaggy and Scooby were joined by their friends, Daphne, Freddy, and Velma too. The show wanted to go back to Scooby's roots by exploring the character's roots, as we spend time in the gang's hometown named and seen for the first time as Coolsville, USA. A Pup Named Scooby-Doo was designed as a self-referential celebration of Scooby-Doo. This is the only Scooby-Doo show I watched as a kid that I would never change the channel for. It felt much less dated, and its humor was definitely energetic enough.
Yeah, you just couldn't enjoy things. What? The original Scooby-Doo is so evergreen. I could watch it. I could put it. I mean, I would put it on now as well, but I feel like I would put it on for my kids as well. Like the disrespect I feel like certain give to just like original media, just because it's not something that looks up to date to what they're currently watching, especially when the writing and everything. Now, I'm not saying like every single episode of original Scooby-Doo was just fucking prime time, but again, anytime that show came on, I was fucking locked in just off of like the sound effect. I didn't even have to even be watching. I remember there was a time, I think I got in trouble at like my grandmother's house or something like that, and all my cousins were there and everything, so everybody was watching TV in like the living room and whatnot. I was like either sitting in a corner or something, or I had to sit like in the other room or whatnot, separate from everybody. And I could hear, and I remember just laying there and I could hear the whole episode happening, and like all the sound effects, like I could pretty much picture like that just listening to it from there, because like everything that happened on the screen had like a sound or something to it. So like as they're just walking around, like that's, like I said, that music the music that I always hear is that doom 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 doom. Like that's just like classic to me. But like all like the slap gag and like when something slides, when somebody falls, when something breaks and whatnot, you can like hear it also, like just like the sound effects and everything. So that it's so ingrained and locked in my head of like that OG Scooby-Doo that I could never like. I don't think I've ever like changed the channel on any like Scooby-Doo all like that. Yeah, all the bad ones really didn't come out until after I wasn't really watching cable stuff. But let's get back into that.
Enough to keep up with the other cartoons I liked watching. Last year I had a look at a few different Scooby projects, all of which experimented with the original formula. So as a prelude to this year's Scooby-thon, I wanted to take a look at the Scooby-Doo show, which doubled down on the original formula in order to erase the memory of...
What? Oh, Scrappy. Understandable.
Do you ever just like get in the mood to thank today's sponsor, Raycon? I do. Thank you to today's sponsor, Raycon. It's been a throwaway day that's left to me. Buds have absolute hundreds and 105s are premium was of Pink Fit. Other bid and percent offering. Associate producer Tom means a lot. By 1988, the Scooby franchise had already been through a lot. Associate producer Tom Ruegger was tapped to head a new Scooby project, which aimed to take part in the babyfication trend going on at the time. Muppet Babies, Flintstones, kids, I think we all need to acknowledge that a pup named Scooby-Doo has the best title out of all of them. Ruegger had grown tired.
And it's like, actually fire. But they're kind of doing that as well now. I guess they try to see if they can recycle ideas. Not necessarily like the themes, but taking a popular, more, because I wouldn't say the original Scooby-Doo was more dramatic one, because it was still very much angled at kids, and like though they follow like more, none of the monsters are actually real. They're like, all the monsters are the actual people, and they're like, you know, scheming and plotting to get away with like some almost trivial thing for real in the real world. But then to go to Pup Named Scooby-Doo, which is just more kind of more dumbed down a bit, but like it still really sticks to like the formula. It just makes them actual kids at that point, so it doesn't feel like all too bad as far as like compared to like when you take like a action based like thematically like plot driven show like Teen Titans and then make it into Teen Titans Go. I feel like that just feels like more of a slap into a face to the audience. But I mean, at the time, I'm sure it feels the same as a fan and audience member.
of working with some of the old guard at Hanna-Barbera who never tried to innovate on the type of framing or shot composition that became associated with the company. A pup named Scooby-Doo tried to have a completely different feeling than any other Scooby-Doo show. It would adopt a Tex Avery-style energy alongside an art style reminiscent of Gen 1 Hanna-Barbera characters.
Negative in the West Wing.
Okay then, let's regroup.
It was all about bringing classic Scooby back, and front and center is the promise that you can help us solve the crime, which served to remind us of that. Bill Hanna would actually go on to direct the first episode, which I'm pretty sure was his last animation directing job, and gave fans a perfect stepping stone for this new tonal world of Scooby-Doo. There's an appealing level of innocence to these characters being kids. They're not hip teenagers, they're just dumb kids. And it's the cuteness behind these designs and performances which I believe carries a lot of the show. I mean, Velma? Perfection. Scooby? Perfection. I mean, what the is this pop vinyl looking idiot? You had a perfect design already. In terms of their characters, the most unchanged are Shaggy and Scooby.
Now you're talking sense.
Would you do it for a Scooby snack?
Daphne is just a more exaggerated version of her old self, but here she's explicitly from a wealthy family and only appreciates the highest of high fashion.
This place is grody.
She also serves as the group's skeptic, being the first one to acknowledge that there's no such thing as monsters.
Oh, please, everybody. There are no such things as ghosts.
Freddy is full dumb idiot here. I love it.
You won't believe me when I tell you.
Oh, come on, Daphne. You know I'll believe anything.
He believes in a wide variety of conspiracy theories and supernatural creatures, and he's always pitching the dumbest ideas. I love him.
I knew it. It's the attack of the bell people from the planet Ding Dong.
It's either some conspiracy or it's
cash
red.
register people from the Planet Pet Store.
And there's Velma, just a pure, sweet, precious angel. Every single time she says Jinkies, I feel my crusted old Grinch heart beating for the first time in weeks.
Jinkies.
Velma is usually the one to point out clues, which helps the audience to follow along with the whodunit style mystery involving whatever characters are introduced in that episode. And by the end, she inputs all of her info into her computer, which tells us who the culprit is.
Only one person could be Stinky. Vincent Thorne.
Hot take, a pup named Scooby-Doo Velma may be very, very good, but she's definitely the most OP character in Scooby-Doo. As far as character interpretations go for the entirety of the Scooby-Doo series, pup named Scooby-Doo definitely nails it on the head. I mean, many of these character traits would carry on in later incarnations. There's just so much to love here. From Velma and Scooby having a good relationship with just...
we still love you.
Thanks, Scooby. I love you too.
I feel warm. And then Daphne being patient, albeit sarcastic with all of the suggestions Freddy throws out.
I'll pay you half price. It's a deal. Thanks, Jones.
Gee, Freddy, you're a real businessman.
I know.
While some of the moments evoke the creepy, spooky aesthetic of OG Scoob, Pup is heavily leaning into comedy. Coolsville is such an odd, colorful-looking place with expressionist-esque skewed buildings, and in true Tex Avery style, the characters themselves are super reactionary. Screams are amplified, and at this point, Scooby is just a liquid having no defined shape or form. However, no Scooby-Doo show is complete without atmosphere. A Scooby-Doo show without atmosphere might as well be called Scooby-Don't.
Something sweet.
Scooby must be onto something.
A pup named Scooby-Doo may not be very creepy, but it's groovy. Groovy-Doo. With the absolute best part of this show being its jazzy rock score featuring a trio of singers performing catchy scats over everything. Because the show takes place in a single setting, there's a lot of recurring characters from the family of the kids who don't really add much to the show, but do help to differentiate this show's tone.
Like I don't want to wake up my mom and my baby sister.
Jenkins, Daphne's butler, whose name is a pun on Jinkies, who gets called upon to do low-effort tasks for the gang.
Hold it. Excuse me, but I just had my hair done today. Jenkins?
Yes, Miss Blake.
Be scared for me, would you?
Right away, Miss Blake.
And the evilest f***er I've ever seen, Red Herring.
I forgot his last name was Herring. Ah, fuck, that's so good. Cause every time Fred would be like, I bet it's red. Ah, son of a, he was right there. No! Son of a... I'm so mad at myself.
Red, you better watch or you might get into trouble.
A doofus, bully, certified dumb idiot who's always messing with the gang. And of course, he serves as a literal red herring for Freddy, who always assumes the monster they're about to unmask is actually red in disguise, but it almost never is.
Only one person could have done this. Red herring. Hello? This is red herring. Calling to confess, huh? No.
Every time Fred accuses Red, Red comes out of nowhere to like beat the heck out of him to tell him not to accuse him anymore.
Exactly.
You're a real dipola, Jones. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Watch it, Red. I'm telling this story.
Then you're full of beans.
We'll catch that fucker one day, Freddy. I think my favorite recurring joke is a news broadcaster who will occasionally interrupt the show just to roast Freddy for being stupid.
Whenever Freddy starts to talk too much, do what I do and catch up on your reading. Thank you.
And then when I found out he...
Scooby's family even shows up. Look at this dog dad. The monsters here are very far removed from anything we saw in earlier shows. A lot of the earlier Scooby-Doo villains could easily be scary if you let them be, but these are full-on silly. From the outlandish nacho cheese monster, a hamburger monster, Alex Brightman as Beetlejuice haunting the Winter Garden Theater.
This is my turn, see? And I'm taking it back, see?
If you're interested in revisiting a pup named Scooby-Doo, here's some episode suggestions. The first two episodes, A Bicycle Built for Boo and The Sludge Monster from the Earth's Core, just nailed down the show's tone really well. From later seasons, I also recommend The Spirit of Rock and Roll, a musical-themed episode, and Chickenstein Lives just for its absurdity. But the first season in general is all around solid, so you could easily just check that out if you want to watch more. There's so many off-scale shots. Big Velma? Episode 6 is titled Scooby-Doo, and in true Reagan-era fashion, it features a really lame anti-drug message. The headless skateboarder is terrorizing Coolsville Beach. The gang investigates an ex-pro skater who is no longer a pro skateboarder because he got involved with generic brand drugs.
Drugs? Drugs?
At the end of the episode, it turns out the headless skateboarder is the ex-skateboarder. Whoa! And the kids stop him from smuggling drugs into Coolsville.
I was part of a drug smuggling gang.
There's only one guy who can smuggle this much blow into Coolsville, and his name is Red Herring. Okay, if any Scooby-Doo villain were to have a gun, it'd be this guy. If you want to teach a meaningful lesson to the kids at home, maybe it's don't go out with your ragtag squadron of 6-year-olds to stop a drug smuggling operation. I find this episode to be very funny and somewhat ironic.
I'm Mary Jane.
Like that is my favorite name. Drugs!
As a celebration of Scooby-Doo, the show leans on a lot of the classic gags and catchphrases we're used to seeing, many of which are remixed.
Okay, gang, let's split up.
Freddy, split up where? It's a motorhome.
Oh, yeah.
The show also brought back the Scooby-Doo romps, the musical breaks in which the monster and the gang would chase each other, only to break down dancing. And as far as Scooby romps go, these are pretty good. They're not the generic bubblegum pop we're used to hearing in older Scooby-Doo. Instead, they write a new song for every episode, which is thematically themed to be about whatever monster they're chasing. And while I think they put a lot of effort into making these old jokes and old moments feel new and fresh again, even if it's a really clever take on that joke, it's still the same joke. After season 1, Ruger and a part of the creative team were approached by Steven Spielberg. Ooh. So Steven Spielberg was all like, "Hey Tom, I'm a big fan of a pup named Scooby-Doo. I'm sort of workshopping some projects over at Warner Brothers. I wouldn't mind if you came take a look if you got a sec."
I know Spielberg gotta be like, "When you say fuck me, folks?" Like, what? Why you doing them like this?
And Tom, with his creative team, may have created some animated projects you may have heard of. Seasons 2 through 4.
It was an Animaniac shade, was it? Cause that felt a lot like Animaniac shade, which is outrageous if it is. I'm just gonna pretend that wasn't.
Or of Pup were shortened, only being
I'm gonna assume that I'm gonna assume the best, that wasn't what I thought. What?
Comprised of 17 episodes between the three of them, while season 1 had 13. There is some charm missing in these seasons, but I found myself still able to enjoy it. Oddly enough, a few episodes are segmented rather than a traditional half-hour episode, including the episode Night of the Boogie Biker, an 11-minute episode in which Daphne makes a bet with Fred, preventing him from accusing Red Herring for 24 hours. The monster, of course, finally is...
Red Herring.
It's Red Herring!
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I did think the show was dragging by the end of it, but I don't necessarily think that's only because of a quality dip. A Pup Named Scooby-Doo was designed to be a throwback to the original Scooby-Doo, celebrating the show's quirks and tropes in a fun, fresh way. However, by staying so close to the formula, even in a celebratory way, it makes the show grow stale just as fast as any other Scooby show. Except for Velma. Velma's just really good. If you're wondering why Scooby always has to
Ah! Ah! I'm calm. I'm not gonna crash out. He's joking. It was a joke. Hee hee ha ha. Funny.
Invent itself, it's because over time, people have learned that the Scooby-Doo formula works as it is. That doesn't mean they can't try different things, but fundamentally, it's not the formula that needs fixing. It's just being able to be comfortable with experimenting and getting creative within those bounds. I mean, Romeo plus Juliet and Nomeo and Juliet have the same source material, but they're obviously different. A Pup Named Scooby-Doo is a solid entry in the
Huh? I'm trying to make sense of this. Because if you're just talking about the formula of the every monster of the week where it's like a horror, I mean, what? Because I mean, once they did it with like What's New Scooby-Doo and all that, I mean, that's pretty much any like crime or whodunit type thing. Like, sure, you can add like a twist or whatever, but yeah, it had a formula. Like, you're upset about that because they stuck to that formula that worked and was well and people enjoyed and adored for so many years for each series. Like, huh? Like, I'm not saying here like I would sit here and just watch Scooby-Doo all day, every day, just every series back to back, but I would straight up watch almost every series straight through, probably. Now, I'm sure, like, once you go back to, like, some of the original Scooby-Doo, that can get, like, repetitive and, like, pretty boring because, like, they weren't really facing too many interesting ghosts and whatnot or beings and everything. Like, they have just, like, a handful of, like, very, like, classic hitters or whatnot. But, I mean, then you have all the movies or whatnot that took it to more of, like, a plot progressive aspect. Then the shows also have more time, especially once you get to, like, What's New Scooby-Doo and all that. And with Mystery Incorporated, when like now they have like multiverses and shit. Cyber now, like some of the movies apparently are like in different universes and everything. Like they've
Scooby-Doo franchise. It felt fresh at the right time, and it's unique enough to stand on its own amongst the vast ocean of Scooby-Doo content. But there was an ulterior motive to going back and celebrating the original formula. A shadow looms over A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, and it's loomed over the entire franchise for too long. Next time I talk about Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Thon 2 will begin, and I will take on the tremendous responsibility of redeeming Scrappy-Doo. Puppy power. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If this is your first video, please subscribe.
You just want to be in pain. Why are you doing this to yourself here? Hold on, I just gotta confirm if that Velma line was a joke. Hey, please tell me that Velma line was a red herring. Like, literally, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, like, solidified like a lot of the character traits that you see in most of the Scooby-Doo media after that, like Coolsville, and in general, like that's the first time I think they even introduced their actual hometown. I think Daphne's origin story or whatnot, and like Fred's like childish love for like traps and everything, and for mysteries and everything. It's like it was just so evergreen, and like, and same with like let me see.
Where are you? We got some work to do now. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We need some help from you now. Come on, Scooby-Doo, I see you. Pretending you got silver. You're the melody, 'cause I can see the way you shake and shiver. You know we got a mystery, the songs of Scooby-Doo, that's all your eyes. Don't hold back. Scooby-Doo, if you come in the color, help yourself a Scooby snack. That's all. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, here are you. You're ready and you're willing. We can count on you, Scooby-Doo. I know you catch that feeling.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And then, well, no, I want you to see, you're gonna do the pup named Scooby-Doo intro. And then I want you to hear the original and just like some of the like background music I'm gonna just play while we talk next, but this is one of my favorites. If it's between this and like the Mystery Incorporated one, which is the what can we do? We're gonna solve that mystery.
Scooby-Doo, 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 Scooby-Doo.
There's a mystery in town. The road is up around. Now Scooby, a pup named Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo. Just that he and his crew. Tell my two. Scooby, a pup named Scooby-Doo. Ghosts and ghouls in town. Scooby snack. Scooby-Doo. Send my own face to drown. You that help us all of mine. What name Scooby? What name Scooby-Doo? Scooby-Doo, where are you? So good. So good.
So good. So good and tasty.
I do remember that. That's crazy. Oh my god. It's crazy. Oh, they were really in their bag with this soundtrack. It's crazy. Yep, there it is. Ah, there it is. That shit hit right there. Like you missed the part. There it is. There it is. Ah! Like had full on orchestra going off in the background like that is insane. For a kids cartoon, what? Are you kidding me? All right, we're gonna end that recording there by YouTube. Then we'll go to our last two videos tonight.
Come on. Roll out a Scooby snack, Scoob.